everybody, and welcome back. It's the first rundown of 2020 and time for a whole lot of conversation and catch up all about the dungeon run. I'm your host, Trisha Hershberger, and it is so good to be back. Thank you all for being here. I saw so many familiar names in chat. Mickey Wolf is here, Dyson Capes is here, Gorbin Played, Dr. Sparks, thank you guys, Kamikaze Reaper. And also in studio tonight is someone who's a literal walking, it's complicated relationship status. I like that got a laugh. Siv Red Thistle, Jared Kjack is here.
Thank you, Trisha Hershberger. Thank you.
You feel good about that description?
That's a perfect description.
It is, right?
Nailed it.
And this guest realized truth will set you free and also make orcs love you even more. Oh. Welcome, James Quillis, Morgan Peter Brown.
Yay.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going, Morgan?
It's going great. I'm happy to be back.
Yes.
Happy we just have nothing to talk. What are we going to talk about? How are we going to fill all this
Nothing
time?
happened over the last...
Nothing happened.
No. Oh my gosh, how dare you. So it has been a few weeks since the last dungeon rundown, so there's no reason to waste time with small talk. Go ahead at home, turn up the volume and start hitting that share button to bring all your friends into the conversation. All about your favorite live action tabletop D&D game, only on Caffeine, of course. I saw so many people in chat. Gamer Chair is like, James and Jared. It's awesome. Hi, Robin Nicole. Good to see you too.
Love how I'm James and you're Jared.
Yeah.
Well, the alliteration.
The JJ.
You know?
I've been noticing some confusions between James and Morgan. Has anyone else noticed that Jeff has referred to James as Morgan multiple times in games?
I've actually heard Jeff do that with all of you at some point.
Maybe I've just noticed it for myself more often.
No, he does it more with you than he does anybody else. Yeah, you're right.
That's right, it's my own doing.
You embody your character so well that we can't tell the difference.
I also think
very similar to me.
This is my theory, is that Morgan sounds like a fantasy role-playing game name.
Yes.
And James sounds like somebody who plays
Interesting.
fantasy role-playing games.
I'll buy that. Sure.
I like that.
That's my theory.
It's a pretty solid explanation. I'm into it.
Yeah, I like that theory a lot. Okay, so we all know that January usually makes people jump head first into attempts at making themselves better. Hashtag New Year, New Me. There's no doubt that Siv and James both have big plans for self-improvement. And I saw Dr. Sparks in chat says, I would love to hear the New Year's resolutions, personal and party. So here we go. What are your characters' top 3 resolutions for the year 301?
Got it.
All right, Jared, Siv's up first.
Do you want to go first?
So,
Okay.
Sure. So, to be more honest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like you're doing well with that.
I've been trying very hard to do. To drink less.
Okay.
Which is not going so well.
Great.
But considering I think we're out of booze currently.
Yes.
That'll help.
Yeah. It's a forced attrition.
We can make it work. We're going to dwarf territory. I bet there will be more booze.
Yeah. And my last one would be to, I think Siv has kind of gotten away from his roots when it comes to being a little greedy, a little, little sticky fingers.
Yes.
And so I think I need to bring some of the thievery back to.
But does that conflict with your previous resolution of being more honest?
I can be honest with all of you.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't mean I have to be honest with anybody else we talk to.
That's a fair caveat.
Jeff's NPCs are fair game.
There we go. There's a slight caveat to that. Chat suggests maybe I am Robin Nicole says write more poems.
Yes.
Strife Wraith agrees with you and says to steal more gems.
There you go, see?
And K-Bon says don't kill clams.
Oh, see?
Yes.
See why I gotta bring that up.
Always solid advice. All right, Morgan, what are James's resolutions?
Well, I was also going to say be more honest, but I'll do another one to vary it up a little bit. I think James would like to become better friends with the Achairai. You know, he occasionally feels bad that he's the only one of the party that the Achairai don't like. So maybe it'd be that.
Okay.
Maybe work out a little more.
How would you do that?
Don't know. Maybe feed them a bit more. Maybe like try to conjure illusions that kind of make them happy. I don't know.
You don't want to just mind control them and force them to like you?
I don't. Don't get me started. I can't do that yet. But no, I think maybe James could buff up his strength stat a little bit. Maybe work out, go to the gym a little more regularly. Let's do some about that 9 strength of his.
Now there's no mechanic for that. Going to the gym a lot and then your strength stat gets a buff.
No.
Well, we're almost 8th level, and at 8th level you get attribute.
There we go.
You could select defeat, or you do the, that's true. But no, I mean, James is the weakest member of the party. James is technically physically weaker than Lily. It's true.
TK421 had me rolling when you were talking about making better friends with the Achai, right? TK421 says, well, he did kick one off a cliff.
Yeah, that's right. And they saw me do it. I looked the other Achai in the eye as I pushed them away. Like, this could be you. No, just kidding. And then let's say better inter-patron relationships.
Okay.
You know, maybe things are better. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
Brandon Nerd suggested stop listening to the voice in his head.
Oh,
I don't think that's a possibility. I'm Robin Nicole says James goes on a date this year.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. We'll see.
Little romance.
James has been felt very awkward about all of the relationship and romance talk the last couple episodes.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
He was very happy that he was in the Vardo for all of that.
But you missed the song. You missed the song.
That was a real bummer, I missed Amy's beautiful songs. Amy and yours beautiful songs.
Bunny.
Yes, it was cool.
Bunny. Benisaba.
Yeah.
It was very nice. Kamikaze Reaper suggests James is easy. More spells, more warlocks on the streets, and maybe new glasses. I'm not really sure what warlocks on the streets means.
I don't know. I don't know if James wants more warlocks on the streets. These are new glasses, by the way. I just got them the other day. They look very similar to my old glasses, but yeah, they are new ones.
They suit your face well, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, so it's been a little bit. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So after almost 4 weeks, I know that everyone at home, you can't wait to post your comments and questions for Jared and Morgan. Now, with less than 24 hours until the next dungeon run, make sure that you're adding your wit to the conversation. The best of the night earns a new piece of swag. And of course, while you're at it, let your happiness for the rundown's return overfloweth by purchasing the Show Love digital item. Warm and fuzzies for everybody in 2020. And some of you have already gone there. Thank you guys so very much. I saw the Carson, Dresden Dark, Dr. Sparks, the Wookiee King, Persephone, Kaibook. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody.
For all of the love. You guys are amazing. So the first dungeon run of 2020 showered the party with a whole lot of super creative force cards, even bringing me into the mix, which was crazy.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
A watcher gifted you Trish of the Time Stream.
From Dyson Capes.
Yes.
That's correct, Trish of the Time Stream. Shall I read it?
Can you please?
A magic force of benevolence comes from the amulet to lend aid to the magic circle. That's your team name. It says in quotation marks or in parentheses. On the dungeon rundown, here we find ourselves, Trisha will roll one each of a D4, D8, D10, D12, and D20 and record the results of each die. In a future session, choose one of those die results as a substitute for one of your own. Fantastic.
Perfect.
So, lucky for us, Trisha just happens to have her dice.
I did. I brought my dice specifically for this. And again, thank you so much. It was Dyson Capes.
Dyson Capes.
Thank you so much, Dyson Capes, for including me. I feel like I'm part of the game now. You are awesome. And everyone in chat that's chanting, roll in the box. I love it. And I am going to do just that.
And it is a viewer submitted card. I'm not sure who wrote the card. So if the writer of the card is out there, but Dyson, it came from Dyson Capes to me. So I appreciate
perfect. Yes, let us know who wrote it. So I brought my own dice from home.
Amazing.
My very fancy rose aluminum dice.
Nice.
And so let's see. So I'm gonna take out my.
Are those the caged aluminum?
I believe so.
Nice.
Oh no, the caged ones are the ones
that
have
caged ones look
outside.
different. Yeah.
They're not caged. They're
right.
standard aluminum,
Very
but they were
pretty,
limited
though.
edition, and I got suckered in at a convention because they were like, it's the last set we have.
That's how
and
they
so then,
get
of course,
ya.
I had to buy them. That's how they get you. But okay, I took out my
Let's start with the
D100
D10.
10s.
Oh, beautiful. Let's start with the D4.
Let's start with the D4. Okay, here we go. In the box. It is a 3.
All right, it's a 3. Pretty good.
It is a 3.
All
Okay,
right,
what do you want
start
next?
with a D6. We're just gonna go through them.
A D6.
D6.
Okay. It's a 6.
Ooh.
Pretty nice.
Okay, D8.
Pretty nice.
I
Let's
like
get
it,
that
I like
D8.
it. Full D6.
Ooh, a 5.
Okay, pretty good.
Okay.
D10. I roll a lot of D10s for the Eldritch Blasts.
Oh, I only got a 3.
3.
I apologize
okay.
for that.
All right, maybe. D12.
D12. A 10.
Oh, pretty good.
Not too shabby.
And now the big one. Roll a nat 20, would you please?
Oh, gosh, I would love to roll an awesome here. It's a 12.
A 12's pretty good.
Okay.
12's pretty good. All right.
The 6 and the 10 are probably your best picks.
Yeah, maybe. maybe.
But the 12 can get you out of rolling a botch.
That's absolutely true. So I may, that 12 could come in serious handy when need be. Thanks, Dyson Capes. Thank you to the writer of the card, and thank you, Trisha.
Yeah.
This will definitely come in handy.
I hope that it's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone. Kamikaze Reaper said, just roll the D100 and we'll be here for 25 years.
That's right.
Well, we couldn't roll it in the dice box. I guess we could. Maybe that would.
Wait, do you have the D100?
I have a D100 D10. I don't actually have a D100.
No.
That's what I was like, do we have a D100
Jeff
on set?
does have one. I think he takes it home with him, though.
Yeah.
I have not seen one in real life since high school.
They'll make your brain hurt.
Yeah, well, because if you don't have something to roll them in, they will just keep going forever.
Yes.
You have to like roll so gingerly.
That's right, and it will just
So
keep going.
gingerly.
It's like a golf ball, but much, much worse.
Yes, these are my favorite purchase of the past year. I think I got them within the last year, but my favorite purchase of 2019 are my rose aluminum
fancy dice.
Metal dice. Yes, my fancy dice, because sometimes one needs to be fancy.
Yep.
All right. So yes, thank you guys. Thank you for including me in it. And oh man, Captain Van Smith says, please tell Jared. Sorry about the Seahawks. My mom is a fan too.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
man.
I'm gonna throw that out there. Since
Bummer. Do you think Whitebeard cursed them? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Last time we were here together.
Yeah. It's the last time I ever talk as Whitebeard when it comes to the Seahawks, that's for sure.
Very
It wasn't the fact
superstitious.
that they lost all their running backs and had to re-sign Marshawn Lynch.
It was Whitebeard.
Yeah, it was Whitebeard. It's me doing Whitebeard. And Jeff's, like 49er hex that he put on me.
Is Jeff a Niners fan?
Oh, big
Huge
time.
Niners fan.
That's why we're talking trash.
all the
Okay,
time.
Yeah.
I get it. I did not realize that's where Jeff's loyalties lied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a team? Or are you a...
I'm from Philly, so I have to root for the Eagles. I grew up in a town where like fly Eagles fly, right? I grew up in a town where every time the Eagles play, like cheesesteaks are thrown as footballs down the street, and there's a lot of
I can
hometown
picture
pride.
it.
I don't even like sports ball,
Right.
and I have to root for the Eagles.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah, but my husband's a Niners fan, so
Well, then
he and
he's
Jeff
happy.
would get along well.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But we're gonna bring it back.
moving on.
We're gonna bring it back to the world of D&D.
We can keep talking about sports.
Nah.
I mean, I can talk sports all night long.
Gamer Share says, my New Year's resolution, totally feeding my dice addiction. Do that. Do either of you have a favorite pair of dice that you own? Favorite set?
I've shown them before. I have the obsidian dice, which are very pretty and they're very warlocky. I like those a lot. The dice I got from Lily Dumblestuck fan are fantastic.
Yes.
I love those.
Yep, I use those.
I use a lot, and then I have a slightly larger D20 that the good people from Wizards gave me, so that's a favorite as well.
My favorite dice are whichever ones are currently rolling well.
Rolling well.
And if
That's
they're
right.
not, then to the curb they go.
To the jail.
Yeah, do you have like a dice shame jail cell?
I just have a giant, I don't know if you've seen it on the show, but I have this giant bag of like mixed Chessex dice that I bought. And so I'll just reach in there and grab a handful and be like, nope. Ooh, that rolled well. Okay, I'll use that for
Keep
this
that.
episode.
Be gone, other dice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
You audition them at the beginning, like I do. Yeah.
I do.
We're weirdly superstitious, this group.
I love it. Do what you got to do to make the adventure and the story awesome, which you gentlemen do.
Especially after the cursed dice episode.
man.
That was brutal.
Yeah, glad we got that out of the way early. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if that had happened during the Vargan fight?
No.
We
Ooh,
wouldn't
that
have
would've
made
been
it.
so bad.
It would have been game over.
Yeah, right.
I mean, well, it was quite evil. Indeed.
Quite.
Okay, so going back to last week's episode, lots of emotions were flying around. And with all the emotions flying, Siv couldn't help but get in on the love-laden revelations. Someone sinister is yanking at his heartstrings. Now, right now, let's go ahead and watch Siv explain handing the spellbook to his nefarious ex, Vic.
I gave the book to Vic.
What?
Back when we were in Turles, she had the book.
The Heroes of the Orient Age, the book that was
Yes.
stolen from the library?
Yes.
Wait, who's Vic?
Yeah.
She's my ex. She's a tiefling. She's the one that cut my face. She's working for someone. Someone very powerful. Maybe the Ashen Mage, I don't know.
Did she ask you for the book?
She asked me to let her go. And I still had feelings for her. And I knew that if I didn't let her escape, that Ugga would probably crush her skull.
Accurate. But if you had told me that you still love her, I may not have.
It's
Honesty would have saved her.
My feelings for Vic were just as strong as they are for Lily now.
Lily's never made you hurt yourself?
Fahim,
What?
Zanoka hurt us. Do you feel differently because of it?
She was under a spell.
Exactly the point I was making. We don't know her.
She asked me to do a lot of things that were wrong, and I realize that now. But when I really deeply care for someone, I will do anything that they want me to do. Anything.
Even if it potentially hurts someone else you love?
Oh, I've done way worse than just hurt someone.
I love everyone else's reaction to that confession as well. The Alan Varmere says, I love Uggo's response. Accurate.
I would have done that job.
Morgan's face in this clip is priceless, says Will Bitson. So true. And Sean Patrick says, I never thought Siv would come clean about Vic and the book. Big stunner.
Big.
So Jared, how might Siv's vulnerability here affect the group? And specifically your vulnerability to Vic.
Well, yeah.
I love that Morgan's just like, yes, tell me, Jared.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like each episode that we go from that episode, because that happened in what, like?
That was episode
Early.
8, I think.
Yeah, it was real early.
Or 7.
Each episode that we move on from there, his feelings towards everyone in the group, not just Lily, but everyone, grows. And so that makes it harder and harder for him to have those old loyalties. But it's one of those things where, you know, if you haven't seen your ex in a really long time, and then you turn a corner.
So awkward. It's like the worst.
And then all of a
And
sudden,
they've stolen a book from a library.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Then I don't think anyone really knows how they're going to react in that moment until it happens.
Right.
You tell yourself, oh, I'm gonna be strong.
Right.
I'm gonna, I'm not gonna let that affect me. And there's no way that I would choose my old flame, especially because they were abusive or whatever. But I don't think you know until it happens,
Right.
And I keep looking over at Jeff anytime we have those conversations to see if there's even the slightest inkling that he's gonna bring Vic back.
Ooh.
And to his credit, he's always like, this is me staring at Jeff, and Jeff's just like, what?
Uh-huh.
Are we having a conversation here?
No, Jeff really likes turning the screws on us for sure.
Chat really wants to see a Vic versus Siv battle at some point in the future.
That would be brutal.
That'd be dark, too.
That would be brutal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's so many implications for all of it, though. I mean, that's why I was making that face during that clip, is I was just starting to wrap my head around, okay, this means a lot of things.
It does mean a lot of things. So what went through your head? What were the lot of things that, Morgan, you were thinking as James?
I think I was there was a little bit of Morgan, a little bit of James. It's like, okay, so this means that Siv's ex is involved with the stealing of the book, that Siv's ex's friends almost killed Nance, that Siv's ex might be working for the people who are stealing these books, and I had known those stealing of the books had been going on for a while. So just sort of what else could this mean? And I've got my suspicions about who might be stealing the books. I think we actually talked about it a little bit during the episode. But it's a lot, and we don't know half of it. So It's just a lot of questions.
The other thing I've established with Siv, and I think it's held true throughout the whole game, is that he doesn't let a lot of people in. And once you get in, once you get past the barrier, the walls that he puts up, then you're in.
Right.
And you're gonna have to do a lot before he's going to sever that tie, before he's gonna cut that person out.
Right.
And the idea of an old relationship, that someone using that against you, is such a fascinating idea and such a relatable idea and true idea. I love it.
Well, Jeff went there immediately.
Amazing.
Like, we talked about backstory.
Yeah.
And then he was like, good, mental note, I'm going to use that immediately.
Yes.
Such a good storyteller.
Right.
Jeff is such a good storyteller.
No, I talk about it like it's just signing up to be a warlock. It's like I've handed Jeff a bag of hand grenades.
After playing in this show, my concepts of warlocks and my desire to play warlocks has significantly diminished, depending on the dungeon master.
Because warlocks are really cool until it's just self-torture.
Yep.
For an entire storyline. All right, so let's talk about then this revelation with Vic and how really, despite learning that everyone might be in deeper danger with Siv giving Vic the spellbook, why do you think out of everyone in the group, fake cough, not Fahima, why do you think everyone was understanding except for Fahima?
Well, Fahima is, in my opinion, she's one of the only ones that has had the least amount of stakes, in the sense to where, like, Lily's family was in danger. So it makes perfect sense that she would get involved. She's also, out of all three of us, especially now that we know what we know about James.
I don't know.
The darkness of our pasts, what we've done or run away from or accidentally done, all of those things, in my opinion, kind of not taint, but they skew our view on, well, maybe our empathy towards the other people that we're talking to and dealing with, not only in our group, but NPCs or anybody. And Fahima, at this point, hasn't really, as far as I know.
I was going to say, on its face, hers is the least complicated.
Yeah, hasn't really done anything evil.
Right.
Doesn't have a lot to be, like, feel guilty for or have, like, a dark past or be traumatized.
And she lived the most sheltered existence prior to all of this.
Exactly.
So it makes sense.
And
that she can be more idealistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that, is that she's got this view on the world that is so hopeful and rosy. And even Lily, I think, had a lot of that until Bingle happened.
Right. Well, or we're finding, I think there have been areas where Lily is a little more cynical, maybe isn't the right word, but a little more tougher skinned.
Right.
And we're finding out about that, obviously, when it comes to relationships.
Right.
Where
obviously some bad relationships.
Obviously,
in her
there's
past.
some darkness. There's some darkness back there
She
for
was
Lily.
the bartender. That can't be easy.
Exactly.
Ugo made a really great observation, likening Vic and Siv to Fahima and Zanelka.
Sure.
So what do you think the parallels are between those two relationships, and why did Fahima struggle with giving sympathy then?
Well, I don't think she thinks that those were exactly the same.
Okay.
Because she doesn't necessarily know all of my history with Vic. She only knows what I've told her. And from what I've told her, it sounds like Vic was horrible to me.
Right.
Right.
She doesn't know any of the positive sides.
Right.
Well, Vic and I grew up together. Like, we grew up as street urchins in Olsvach. So we have a long history.
Which is very different than Fahima and Zanelka.
Exactly.
Totally.
And Zanelka was mind controlled.
Yeah.
So the things that she was doing weren't even necessarily evil or her fault. But Siv actually saw some correlations between Zanelka and Fahima in his backstory with Vic.
Yeah.
And that's why he got so protective of her.
Got it.
And Zanelka was trying to touch her at the end, after the werewolves had already turned on us and tried to kill us at the end of the Vargan fight.
Do you think Siv wishes that someone had been there to step in and do the same thing with Vic?
That's a big one.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Vic and Siv essentially leaned heavily on each other, and they're the only reason why they got out of Olswatch alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Siv seems fairly practical at the end of the day, and you wouldn't be here without her, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were a team.
Right.
You know?
Right.
We pulled off heists. We stole as a team. We survived as a team. And Olswatch, in my backstory, and I've talked to Jeff quite a bit about this, is a horrible place.
Right.
Like, it's run by a rich aristocracy, and they treat the lower class, which almost everybody is lower class besides the aristocracy, as worse than dirt.
Right.
To the point to where there's a custom that Jeff and I came up with where if you're an aristocrat and you're dealing with someone who is of the lower class, they have to wash their hands and you wash your hands before you're allowed to do anything, before you're allowed to break bread or shake hands or make a trade, because they are that dirty. They are that low in the class structure.
I hate
And that
it.
also came about because there was a horrible blight that went through that part of Ain, and it hit Olswatch hard. And
Right.
it hit the lower class the worst because they're, you know, living in derelict buildings or the alleyways of Olswatch. So if you think about it from that, I think, backstory and mindset, it makes a lot more sense why Vic and Siv would have clung to each other for survival,
Of course.
let alone any kind of romantic relationship coming out of that.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Cold Candor, for the digital love or the digital item that said for awesome backstory. Yes, indeed. All right. So let's pretend regarding Lily's choices in relationships, let's pretend that things went a different way. What if Lily had declared her love for either Siv or Ugo, but like full on was like, I'm 100% in here or I'm 100% in here? How do you both think, Morgan, because I know you get awkward when the romance stuff happens.
Right.
How would that have impacted the group in the long term? And do you think everyone would be able to bounce back from that? Or is it better that she's like walking the line?
I mean, I think that what we've started to do with, specifically with this last episode, where and I've had this in real life relationships, like personally and professionally. The better you are at having tough conversations, the better friends, the better coworkers, the better everything you will be.
Yes.
And so the more that we just put it out there on the table, the better things will be, and then it's easier to deal with. What really hurts people is the unknown and the hurt feelings. You all right?
Jared, your face right now is so good. Let us know what's happening in your head, please.
I really wanted that song to like hit, you know? Like Amy and I put some time into that thing. And
oh man.
And
Hashtag too real. Hashtag too real.
yeah.
Oh
and
God.
So I had flashbacks of like being back in high school when you're really into someone and you finally get the nerve up to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna just write them little notes and pass it to them or put it on their desk or put it in their backpack or something like that.
Mixtape.
I'm gonna make a mixtape. Yes.
Yes.
For kids who didn't grow up in the 90s, there were these things called mixtapes.
I'm not gonna lie. I said yes after a mixtape once. Mixtapes were real.
What was on that? Never mind.
Yeah.
A lot of like real sad, broody songs, but I was into
The
that.
Cure, Depeche Mode.
Sure.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh, Depeche Mode. Yeah, all day.
Yeah. So, so that's how I was feeling in that moment. Is I was incredibly nervous, and I felt like everybody else that was sitting around the table was like, you know, the kids in the class. They were like, "Wait a minute, did Jared just like?"
This is the big grand gesture.
Did Jared just ask, you know, Lily out on a date?
Yeah.
Or did Siv just ask Lily out on a date in front of
Sparks
everybody?
says it's a prom proposal fail.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a big maybe?
Yeah.
And yeah, lots
It
of
wasn't a
question marks.
no.
No, I know.
It's still a solid maybe.
It's a solid maybe.
Yeah, and I'll take it.
And Lily Katie's song about like needing to straighten everybody's where she stood with everyone relationship wise was maybe my favorite part of last episode. It was so great.
So funny. All right, well, let's chat wants to get in on this.
Yeah.
Phil Waffle says, I love Morgan's awkwardness. And I am Robin Nicole says, is Morgan awkward with romance in D&D, or is James just awkward with it overall?
James is super awkward with romance overall, for sure. There's a lot of things. I mean, James became very good growing up at just taking care of himself and being alone. And so, and he doesn't think very highly of himself. So when it comes to romance or anything like that, he's not looking for it. He's more just protective.
You gotta love yourself first.
Yeah, probably.
Let's tell James that.
So I don't know. I don't think James necessarily thinks he's for anyone or anyone's for him necessarily. And maybe he'll be surprised. I'm leaving that. I don't know. It was not part of the broad backstory that I came up with James, and so I was just playing it as it was. Yeah. And I have no idea where that part will go for him.
He's a smart, romantic, charming guy. He could,
Is he? I mean, I think he's
smart.
He's pretty awkward. Yeah, he's smart, but also I think he just became very good at keeping himself small and keeping himself, and sort of keeping his world small, keeping this and everything like that. And even Nance, who I think probably has some romantic interest in him, he doesn't really quite know what to do with that.
Okay, valid answer. Okay, well, all this candor is super infectious. For Siv and now James, watchers and runners take a moment to watch James reveal his deepest secret to the group now.
Dun, dun.
James, you've been remarkably quiet.
Have I?
Yes? Do you have anything you'd like to share since we're all doing that?
That day we met in Kippleton those months ago. Feels like years. I was a man at the end of my rope. I had fled Turles about 2 weeks before out of fear, as my friends and co-workers thought, but not quite for the reasons that they thought. I murdered someone. I killed someone. It was murder. That murder has been turned into the reason for the whole moratorium of magic, apparently. So when people like Jorrel and people out there in the shantytown are made to suffer for things that I did stupidly, it becomes a much bigger secret and it becomes much harder to tell. My magic is new to me, I think, as some of you know, and it was very new to me then, and I was an idiot.
Sound like you saved child.
What's done is done, and we can sit around and we can cry about it, and I can feel sorry for myself or whatever. But that's not gonna help. We're all here for a greater purpose than ourselves. And it's easier to fall inward and think about the things we've done and feel bad about that. But you have so much to offer, James. We all do.
You might even think that you had killed someone if you had not stopped him.
Right?
If he had hurt the child, that says something about your heart. I've doubted you. I felt it. I could understand you were lying about something, keeping secrets. But you have taught me that sometimes, as much as I hate to admit it, secrets are necessary.
What a doozy. Nate97497 says it best. James the murderer got magic banished from town.
Yep.
Pretty intense, and yeah. Sean Patrick says the next was just a huge stunner. I had many thoughts of James's past, and I was way wrong.
I told you guys
You
there was
had been
so
saying that
much
forever.
you didn't know.
Yes.
And I think my wife took a screenshot of during the show of someone's response, which was, I forget who it was, but literally there was an all caps chat response of, so much makes sense about James now. And it was like, yeah.
Yes, and
yeah.
I saw people in chat, I think it was TK421, said Morgan just knocking James out of the ballpark. Congratulations, wonderful performance. So crazy.
I thank you. This has been, it was, I think Jessica says about during that I was shaking. I was legitimately shaking because I had not told, Jeff was the only person who knew that. And I had that since I created James. So I'd had that secret on me for, almost a year.
A long time.
A long time.
So I'm guessing that the group's word for the new year is transparency.
Indeed.
Lip quivers, wet eyes all around the table.
Right.
Jared and Morgan, how does it feel looking back at those emotional moments when you watch them again? What were you both thinking watching one another share such huge backstory secrets?
Well, it makes a lot more James makes a lot more sense now, which is kind of a huge relief, because for a while there I was like, I didn't even understand why you were adventuring with us. I was like, what does he care? Like, everyone else is very clear cut, in my opinion, like why they're there, what they're doing, what their goals are, that kind of thing. And James was always the one where I was like, it almost felt like you were there for knowledge and power, but yet your character isn't really greedy or hungry in that way.
Nope.
So then it was like, okay, so then he's just here because he's got nothing better to do? Like, that's a horrible reason to adventure. So so now that, that he's revealed this, to me, it's, in a very sick way, it's actually kind of a relief. And especially by playing Siv, because Siv, I think, is gonna really relate to that.
Right.
With the whole, you were in a bad situation, you made a choice, now you're paying for that choice, and you're trying to make up for that choice, or you're trying to figure out why things happened the way they did, or you're trying to fix it, or whatever he decides to do is, obviously his choice. But it's a big enough piece to the puzzle to where now James, in my mind, has a nice, solid base or core to grow from a storytelling point of view.
Right.
It's like the tree trunk analogy, where if you don't have the tree trunk, all of these branches aren't connected to anything. And now he just planted his trunk, his seed, in his backstory of Turles, and the murder, and we don't know all the details.
Nope.
I mean, obviously we're gonna explore that at some point, and I hope we go back to Turles at some point too.
I think there's no way we don't at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we all have reasons to go back to Turles.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think,
Morgan, why did James share this now? Or
I said it. I mean, so I actually told Jeff, I gave him a heads up. I almost said it at the end of A Stranger's Fate, but that we just never had time together.
Like, was it one of those things where your guilty conscience was just building up so much that you were like, I gotta get this out
But
now.
the practical thing was, and I said this during, was it's been hitting harder and harder that we could die.
Sure.
Ooh, okay.
And there are certain secrets.
Or individual people could die, and then their secrets would die with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And James has other secrets.
We know.
What? But that one specifically affects the most people.
Okay.
And James, and as I think I said, if this information dies with me, it will increase and prolong the suffering of others.
Aww.
And so that I think really started to hit home with me, Morgan specifically, checking in with where is James in the process of all these things. But after that Vargan fight, when it was that bad, there was legitimately like I'm being a jerk not telling this. And that's why I checked in with Jorel. That was why I did the I did the sending to Jorel. Sure, is a fun thing to do right before Christmas.
We all love Jorel.
Of course, but also because Jorel has been Jeff torturing me. Because there's been a lot of screws turned on James for a long time that most people didn't really know about.
Right.
And
pressure just keeps building.
Yeah. And so Jorel was on his mind, and ideally that conversation would have gone like, no, the moratorium's over and I got to go back to my shop. That's what James was hoping for.
Yeah.
Right.
But it got even worse.
Right.
And so that just hurts him even more. Yeah.
I mean, Lily and Uggo jumped right in to help reassure you that your actions were warranted, and even reminded you that they too have blood on their hands, and it's totally okay. We've all murdered people.
Which is, it's true to life too sometimes, because we often build up our own terrible truths about ourselves to be worse than they are.
Sure.
It's not that what James did isn't terrible, but also like by the time he actually shared it, it was received so well.
Yeah, why do you think that the group, you're like, I'm a murderer, they're like, it's fine. Why do you think that the group backs each other up so much at this point?
I think we've all seen each other in the worst of circumstances. And so there is the knowledge of, I trust you enough to know that was maybe the best you could do at the time.
Right.
That's what I think anyway. That's my guess.
I also think that we all kind of have that mindset of we're living in this world that is filled with danger and heartache and people that are being tread upon and wars that are being waged for reasons that we don't even know.
Right.
And I don't know if it excuses why our characters have done some of the terrible things that we've done in the past, whether it's an accident or intentional. But what I think it does do is it starts to establish the fact that we are in a fantasy world of Jeff's devising where things are not well. And that something needs to change.
And there's always tough choices.
Yes, and that we've been put in really difficult situations where we've had to make a choice, and that's going to continue to happen. And if we, and I think I've said this before on the rundown, don't start to work as a group and rely on each other and trust one another, someone's going to come in and drive a wedge between all of us and rip us apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very, very true.
And the stuff that I was saying as James towards the beginning of that confession, it feels very true to me in real life as well, which is like the more valuable relationships that you get, it does in a way become pressure of having friends or family that you care about to be more honest about yourself. Because what if they had judged me? What if it had gone terribly? And what if I had lost them? And because you become James, who is a person who is not used to these types of relationships in his life. And so when he gets them, they're like a precious gem and he doesn't want to mess it up. He doesn't want to break it or drop it or smash it. And so don't tell them that thing about you. That thing is terrible.
Yeah. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
But also sometimes you gotta, otherwise you're putting them in danger.
Absolutely.
So Morgan, after telling the group what he's done, there was a moment that James's face seemed to say something that your words did not. And I didn't realize it the first time because I listened to the podcast the first time, so it wasn't until rewatching it that I saw this. What else could James be hiding? How could withholding maybe the rest of your secret impact the new relationship with this group that are these gems you hold so dear?
I don't know, and I think he's working on that. But obviously, this was a huge step in the right direction. It's Squillace slash Jeff apply pressure in interesting ways. And so I think there will be, but I honestly, who knows? Who knows when the rest could come out? It could all come out tomorrow. I don't know. Because James has seen, how his truth affects other people. And so, I mean, depending on the circumstances and depending on what happens, it very well, he might just start telling Fahima everything. I don't know.
We shall see. All right, watchers and runners, I bet I can guess one of your goals for the new year, and that's to write a comment or question cool enough to earn you some Dungeon Run swag. You write it, I read it, and a swanky new tee is as good as yours. And with all the support and love surging throughout the adventures, why not show your sensitive side with that Show Love digital item, which we have quite a bit of.
Amazing.
Thank you guys so very much. You are so very kind. Will Blitzan, so many awesome folks there. And okay. Sorry, I've got voices talking to in my ear at the same time that my chat just went away. So I will get to your questions in just a second. But now you know there was no way for the episode to be all happy feels and Uggo hugs. Let's take a look back at the moment where the intensity turned up from a 3 to a 10. Oh my goodness, it's a dragon. No.
Oh God.
Siv, as you're looking back and you're still driving.
I'm driving.
Oh, you're driving, right?
Yep.
You're on top. You just put the
He's probably standing right now.
blanket down. Yeah, you notice off in the distance as you look a shadow pass over the tree line. Large. Very, very large.
Bigger than the direwolf large?
Yeah. It's very large. It's a shadow that looks like...
I look up in the sky. Is there something making the shadow? Or is it the shadow on the ground itself?
You look up and the sun is blinding you, but you definitely see and hear...
Oh, boy.
This is my fault.
wings,
Oh, boy.
casting a giant shadow over the ground.
Siv?
Circling around it is clearly a dragon,
Whoa.
and a large one.
Whoa.
Is there... I just immediately scan for any kind of cover.
Did you hear that noise?
What's happening?
Sorry.
Quiet. And I point over towards the tree line. There's a dragon above us.
What?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh,
What do we know about- do we know about
no.
golden
We
dragons?
know we have
Yes.
a golden dragon scale.
Do we know if they're good or
Wait a
evil?
minute. Maybe not.
We do have a dragon scale.
Yeah, what do we know about dragons?
Well, they were
In this
the
world.
army of the sun,
Yes.
and the warden, and there was the moon and the.
Can I roll a...
You've also told us that the dragon scale has significant meaning, and if caught with one, would be very bad.
Could be very bad, or he could want it, or it could want it returned. Or if it had given this dragon scale to Calcutta Theed or someone as part of a deal, either way, it probably wants it back and will either be very grateful or very angry with us. So
It seems to be looking for something. It seems to be scanning, and it's kind of making broad, circling flight patterns in the sky. It's flapping, but it's not flapping at a high speed as if trying to get somewhere. It's like a vulture.
We need to hide quick.
Is it looking for the scale?
maybe, or if
believe
it's,
so.
or it might
Open the
be,
bag and make a big...
or even worse, it might be looking for us specifically. If that dragon is working with Calcutta Theed, and she knows we're coming, we know that. Oh boy.
I super enjoy Dream Blaze's impression of Fahima in chat saying, oh boy, we might get killed, but it's so cool. How did you guys feel when Jeff started describing a freaking dragon?
Incredulous. I was like, well, but it is funny, the psychosomatic response of that wing sound. It was like, I was like,
So cool.
no. level 7.
That's definitely one of those things
happening.
where, like, your D&D, in my opinion, or for me anyways, that your D&D nerd brain takes over.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know how powerful dragons are. I know how weak we are.
Even if you're trying not to let it
right.
go.
Even if you're trying, even if you're trying to be cool. Like
Yeah.
if your character's like, I'm cool, I can handle it. Let's just go hide over behind that tree over there. And it's like,
Right.
no, I am losing it inside of my head right
And if
now.
it's the sun dragon, that means it's probably an ancient dragon.
Yeah.
And he described it as very large.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
that led an army.
Oh, we're
that we
toast.
fought when we were wardens, and now we're just like us.
Us.
You know?
Yikes. Yeah.
Even if we had a warden with us, I would be worried.
Yeah.
Even if the
Yeah.
storm warden was walking behind us, just hanging out.
hanging out, like he
you
does.
know, Yeah,
Yeah.
chilling.
You don't know the power dynamics of a dragon and a warden. Who knows?
Man.
And the thing with Jeff is that because he tweaks everything
Yes.
that comes our way,
Yes.
we never know. Like, you can't just open the monster manual and be like,
Right.
oh, gold dragon. They tend to be like this and act like that, and this is their alignment. No.
No, but Jeff does it on purpose because you guys know those books so well that he has to.
He knows who he's playing
Yes.
to, for sure.
It's a gold dragon, but it's an evil gold dragon.
Ah! Yeah. Oh, man.
Surprise!
Can't wait till we run across that, beholder that just happens to be really nice.
Super friendly
and gives us
beholder.
magical items and says, go forth and conquer.
Can't wait. It was not a lot of acting going on. I was like, man.
Anytime you hear dragon, it's like the show is called Dungeons and Dragon, or,
Right.
Ours is called the Dungeon Run.
But
the game is called Dungeons and Dragons. So when you run across a dragon, it's like, how often does that happen in any role-playing game?
You hope not often, because it usually means the death of your character.
Yeah. Best case scenario, maybe you can like sneak in and take some of their hoard and they don't notice you.
At
But
level 7, we could probably handle a young dragon. So like there's young, adult, and ancient dragons, and I think they become ancient after like 200 years. At least these are traditional D&D rules.
Right.
Ancient dragons, you don't want to mess with.
You don't want to mess. Fail Waffle said, I really wish James awakened mind the dragon. Friend or foe? We don't know.
Yeah.
I might still.
Ooh, when do you think you might cross paths with the dragon again?
I wouldn't know. I can just use sending on it now that we've seen it.
Yep. Okay.
That thought has occurred to me of just kind of like wanting to know, because it could have come after us. We tried to play it cool. I don't know how cool we played it.
It was interesting if it knew exactly where the scale was the whole time, which you would presume it would. It did, because it just landed as soon as you buried it and went away.
Yes.
Why didn't it come after you guys earlier?
Well, we had it in a bag of holding.
Right.
And so I think the reason why it kind of knew the general location is because we kept opening the bag of holding and this beam of light would shoot out from the golden scale. And that was like this, giant homing beacon or tracking device for the gold dragon.
And for a long time before that, it was in that chest for that Calcutta Theed had.
A
So who
magically
knows
sealed chest.
how
that also
long
had
I'd
a
been
demon
looking
in
for
it or
that.
something.
Yeah.
When you took it out of the bag of holding, you put it in another magic chest, so it wouldn't have given off a beam of light, and the dragon was still like homing beacon, like right here.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
If there's one moment where Ron as Uggo was like, if there's one thing that I know about dragons, it's that their power is like beyond imagination or something like that. And especially in a Jeff game, it's like, well, yeah, we don't know what powers a dragon has in Ein. It could be a spellcasting dragon.
Right. I don't know.
Who knows?
Right.
And it could, yes.
And that's why when a gold dragon shows up, you give it back what you took.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whatever it wants.
I love the discussion about should we keep it? I mean, it is valuable. That also could be very, very painful, bad death.
Yeah.
Let's leave it here.
Very bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, with just a few moments left of the rundown, just a few minutes left for tonight's episode, let's do some foreshadowing. We saw Uggo enter the ancestral plane to talk dwarves, and we know dragons don't really give up super easily from what we can assume about non-Ein dragons. We'll see about Ein dragons. It's clear that Jeff's probably going to bring the heat tomorrow, so what should the watchers and runners be bracing themselves for, in your opinions?
Well, I think we're definitely going to get to the Dwarven city.
Probably. We're getting pretty close.
But there's a couple dwarves in the river in front of us right now,
Mm-hmm.
with a swarming giant mutant flies that are probably going to attack us and try to, eat us or something.
Right.
I'm hoping that if we save those two dwarves and befriend them, they will give us a little bit of leverage going into the Dwarven city to where Uggo won't immediately be, killed or arrested or whatever.
Yeah, that powder keg's about to be put to the test for sure. And also, let's not forget, because of the absolutely insane and incredible number of forces of good and forces of evil that we got this last episode. Insane. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
This fight might get pretty chaotic.
Right.
I have no idea what's going to happen as soon as the fight starts. I know I have a couple that go off like immediately, so I'm not sure.
We'll see. And Jared, you had mentioned that you loved the moment between Uggo and his ancestors. What did you like so much about that moment?
Well, I mean, I love everything Ron does, but I think the interesting thing about Uggo is that even though he just says, or constantly says, I'm just a big, dumb barbarian, we all know that that's not true.
Yeah.
And
it's not just Lily being nice. It's definitely not true.
And the thing that I like about Uggo, or what makes him interesting to me as a player and as a watcher of the show, even if it's after the fact, is that he's really starting to develop the spiritual side of his character. And Uggo has a relatively good wisdom score as well. So just from a game mechanics point of view, that kind of makes sense. But when he reaches out to his ancestors and he tries to commune with his ancestors and get some answers, it allows him to make interesting choices in the story and with Uggo that immediately make him a non-stereotypical orc barbarian.
For sure.
Because it's a very easy trap to get into when you make a character like a full orc barbarian to just be this like angry meathead that just crushes everything that's in front of it and filled with, rage and anger and hatred. But now we're going to a dwarven city. Right?
Yeah.
Right. And so it would either be all of us trying to convince him to not kill dwarves or like disguise him or like turn him into a mouse and stuff him into a bag, or we can let Uggo have this cool moment off in the woods with his ancestors and come to the epiphany that he doesn't have to kill every single dwarf he comes across.
Right.
Even though part of my backstory is that I've worked for both sides in the dwarf-orc fight. And in my mind, I'm thinking, he's gonna have to do more than just be okay with dwarves.
Guy.
Yeah, he's gonna have to pour on some charm, I think, to convince these dwarves that he's not a regular orc.
And maybe even more than that, who knows?
Sure.
He's got a tough uphill battle to climb for sure.
Yes.
And we keep, I think, one of what we've talked about before, like some of the recurring themes of this overall story that we're doing, and one of them hugely seems to be, taking no one at face value, letting every person kind of be themselves, no matter what that might be. They may look like an orc barbarian, but they're all these other sides to them. And so I think this is about to be like severely put to this test, between Uggo and the dwarves, these sort of warring sides.
With all your characters, there's more than meets the eye, for sure.
For sure, yes.
Okay, so let's talk spells for a second. Fahima used her magic to conjure her wildly mag men.
Yes.
While James wowed the group with hallucinatory terrain.
Correct.
What level spells are these?
Okay.
And between the lightness and the darkness, which is drawing Fahima and James closer together?
Oh, that's interesting. So they're level 4 spells.
Okay.
We are level 7 now, so that we're level 4 spellcasters.
It's half rounded up.
That's right. Conjure minor elementals, I think, is what Fahima is casting, and hallucinatory terrain is one of the 4th level warlock spells. James has got a couple others that you'll see soon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, but
summon some demons.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. So summon demons is a tricky spell.
That's ridiculous.
It can go wrong fast. As it should if you're just gonna conjure a demon somewhere. So what was the rest of the
question? Do you
think
that you and Fahima are bonding more over your love of light magic or dark magic?
It's a very interesting question. I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think one of the things that's bringing us together is our ability to get excited about both. I mean, and James is probably a little uncomfortable about the nature of his magic sometimes, but then through Fahima's eyes, who gets excited about all of it, it's kind of nice to see that sometimes. It's like, well, okay, in some ways, Fahima is helping James feel better about finding good uses for this dark stuff that he can do. And that'll continue to be put to the test, I think.
I think it will.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so after a break from the rundown, chat did not miss a beat tonight, getting back into awesome theories, funny comments, and questions. But one of you used your time away to sharpen your commenting skills and earned the first piece of Dungeon Run swag of the new year. Gamer Share commented, "Yep, the game ain't called Dungeons and Rainbows, believe that. So watch your inbox for the next steps to getting your luxurious new tea home. Now, commenting in chat isn't the only way to earn a tea. The brush of tea added, the brush of tie
Gone over it.
added Dungeon Run swag to his wardrobe by sharing this glorious piece right up here. Let's see, and you've talked about the name before, Brush
So
of Tie.
good. Yes, it is Brush of Tie.
This is so good.
It's insane. I love the sieve off to the side, and the flame whip is so incredible.
Yeah.
The trees in the background.
Really beautiful work.
It's so complex.
Woo, congratulations. There's some new Dungeon Run swag coming your way as well. Now, just because you didn't slay a comment or share some art doesn't mean a Dungeon Run tee cannot be yours. Visit thedungeonrun.fandom.com to grab one of the new designs, or if you have a more vintage palette, many of the classics are still there for you. And while you're there, upload your Dungeon Run art for the world to see. I personally would love to see, I don't know, some finger-painted interpretations of our adventuring party. Get on it. Oh my goodness, guys, what an hour. The first rundown of 2020 was so much fun. Thank you so much to Morgan Peter Brown and Jared Kjack for getting us back into our groove.
Thank you, our
guys,
pleasure.
do you have any parting words to leave with our audience this evening?
I have a question for you.
Ooh, do it.
Yeah, what's your New Year's resolution?
Like my personal one?
Sure.
I always give up on New Year's resolutions so easy that my New Year's resolution was like, don't even tempt yourself. No, I actually am going to work out with a personal trainer for the first time in my life starting in February. And as the kid who was always picked last in gym, and I have bad ankles, so sometimes I just fall. Like, I'm not a physically adept person. Dexterity is not my high in real life stat at all. I think it's going to be a challenge, but we'll see how it goes. I might last one or two sessions and
well, you're gonna have to let us know
give
how
up.
it goes.
My husband was saying I should live stream it because he listened to my my consultation session, and the whole time I was just like, oh, I don't really do that. No, I sit at a computer most of the day. Oh, is that a weight? Is it more than 5 pounds? Because I probably shouldn't. I might get hurt. He was like, it's hilarious and you should live stream it. So I don't think I will be live streaming it, but that is my New Year's resolution.
Amazing.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course.
I need one of those. You reminded me. I need one of those new flock T-shirts. Those things are really
they're
good
so
looking.
good, right?
Yeah, I gotta get myself one of those.
Folks at home, if you haven't checked out the new teas, make sure you check them out because they are really spicy. And so, of course, thank you so much to you guys for coming on the show tonight and being so lovely and eloquent and filling us with many new thought starters for our conspiracy theories. And of course, a huge thank you to you, the watchers and runners of the time stream. Log back into Caffeine tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for an all-new episode of The Dungeon Run. Then next Tuesday and every Tuesday, meet me right here at 6 p.m. Pacific to talk oohs, ahs, and action with the stars of your favorite live-action tabletop game. I'm your host, Trisha Hershberger, and this was The Dungeon Rundown. Good night, everyone.
Bye.